They're their own beast, and they're just exciting, you know. They're unpredictable, same as the track conditions are a lot of the time, and it gets pretty feverish when you got 24 of them going into the one turn and trying to fight for that same spot. So, you know, it's an exciting feeling, and that's why we do it.
Sprint cars are like the most energetic vehicle you could ever drive, I'd say. Like, you can make things happen, you can make passes that you couldn't pull off in other classes of cars.
It's just like an addiction. Once you get it in your blood, there's no getting it out. I'm sure sometimes I've thought about different paths, but it's just I can't get out.
We go around an oval racetrack, we run 13, 14 inches of stagger, 920 horsepower in a car that weighs 650 kilos with no transmission, no gearbox, no flywheel, no starter motor. You know, every bit of weight shredded off these things, and it's all just about power to weight, and yeah, they're a very exhilarating thing to drive, and I think if you get bored with these, you're probably going to get bored with every other motorsport there is.
One week you can be on top of the world, you can win the Australian title, the next week you can go out and you can tear the car up and Timo's not happy. So just not knowing what's going to happen, just living on the edge. I don't know, it's just saying I don't have much fear when I'm in this, but I don't like a speedway, I don't like something like that, so I don't like going on water or anything. So it's just something where I feel comfortable, it's my comfort zone more than anything. I just enjoy it, just everything, just not knowing what's going to happen next.
Yeah, I've had dabbles in touring cars and I've had dabbles in other forms of motorsport, but there is nothing that will compare to driving a sprint car.
To carry #1 on your car is the greatest honour I think you can have in Australian sprint car racing, so we'll be doing our best tonight to try and make it happen.
You know, you get the validation to carry #1 in your car for a year, and that's, you know, I don't care who you are, that's, to be Australia's best at anything should not be something that you ever take for granted.
It's gut-wrenching when you've got to put an ugly #2 back on there after you've had a #1 on it. I mean, look, for me, this is what I dreamed about being a little kid, and it's something I still aspire to be and still dream about. It's, you know, it's one of those heart, body, souls. You sit back and look at it at the end of the day and go, yeah, my body's tore up, but you know, I got to wear that Australia 1 with pride.
I've been so close before, so to go that one step further would mean a hell of a lot. It mean for the whole team, the confidence of the team, just everything, my future. It just holds something you just don't know.
It's such a difficult race to win. It's like Gary's won a lot of them, and Brooks won a lot of them, and Max, they're so hard to win. Like, we got very close over in Perth a few years ago.
Every young boy who grew up dreaming to be a sprint car driver wanted to be Australia 1, you know, so it's been, I guess, the same with me, it's been with everybody, you know, you always strive to be Australia 1.
Beautiful Tasmania, without a doubt one of the most exotic and remarkable corners on the globe, known for its embarrassing riches of natural beauty when it comes to waterfalls, aquatic playgrounds, and of course the massive forestry industry as well. Tasmanians know a wonderful lifestyle. They also know how to support motor racing, where they love to go fast, on the weekends enjoy an idyllic lifestyle. Welcome to night #2 of the Eagle Products Australian Sprint Car Championship here at Bendigo Bank Arena, Latrobe. A great crowd. They are packed in here. And thanks to Roadrunners, Tasmania Couriers as well for their local support of the title. Great shot there of Ian Loudon. As the Max Dumsey team, there is Steve preparing for competition tonight. We saw a fantastic first night of competition with David Murcott coming out on top. And Chad Nailon, it is going to be an epic second night of competition. Probably no team working harder than that team right there, the Bricknell team. We'll get to that shortly.
Tyres will be a big talking point tonight. A 40-lap feature race for the 52nd running of this very prestigious sprint car race. Who will have the honour of carrying Australian #1 for the next 12 months? There's a lot of guys here this weekend, and just in that frame right there, you can pick out a few people who deserve the Australian #1. They're going to be taking it off James McFadden, last year's champion. Could Brooke Tatnell maybe get a hold of that once again?
Yeah, James McFadden not here this weekend. Look at those names: McFadden, Tatnell, Brazier, and Dumsey. But when you look through the honours, the all-time win list, go down to #6 there, Jim Winterbottom, the uncle of Mark frosty Winterbottom. So there's even a connection for sprint cars and V8 supercars right there.
And at the top, it's the Master Blaster, Gary Rush. 10 championship wins for the Castrol man back in the days. As we check out some highlights of what we saw in last night's racing. Night one, there was a lot of drama. Callum Zizek, local guy, clouting the wall in this heat race. Danny Reedy was actually the unlucky man from that one, believe it or not.
Yeah, he got, well, sent to the rear because he stopped, believing that there was a red light on the speedway. He thought that Zizek had actually rolled over. It was frantic. Chris Johns, unfortunately, the Asterix number 9 car went upside down, hard up against the wall there. When you get above the cushion, it is frantic stuff, and you can bite a big one just then, like we saw with Johns.
It's been a pronounced cushion, I think would be the way of saying it. Jamie Veal were riding on board with him. How close was that? But it's not over yet. Wait for it. Yep. Yeah,
Jerry Hoekstra, unfortunately, the number 4 car, who raced wingless last couple of seasons. In the A-main, Jason Redpath drilled the wall with the gaiters and cut down the right rear tyre on the Wiley's Tiles, number 11. And Blinky Muir nearly got him as well. And we saw Sean Dobson hit the wall all on his own and really hurt the rear end of that car. He was ruled out of the restart in the main. But what a battle in the final between David Murcott and Ian Madsen.
This was an incredible race. Madsen goes to the bottom after knowing for a few laps that's where Murcott was. And Murcott said, no worries, I'll just go to the top and take that race lead. That was on the last lap of the preliminary A-main. And could this be Dave Murcott's year, coming off a couple of podium positions in the last few years?
But the biggest moment, of course, of yesterday was a dramatic moment we're about to see and a massive recovery. Sprint car racing is an extreme sport at the best of times. Jamie Bricknell's car was completely totaled in this crash, but they're back, despite him being bruised and battered with another car.
Well, last night we had a meeting and we weren't sure if we were going to come back, and we talked about it and we were going to get the car ready next week. And then they were driving the truck home last night and had discussion, and they decided that they'd build it today. Last night I had a bit of sore back and stuff, but woke up and I felt a lot better, and I had the late shift building the car, so I called the crew, put in magnificent effort and got it all built, and by the time I was down there she was nearly done. It only took them a few hours. They were real keen and got up at 6:30 and pulled the other one apart and started building it straight away, and we were nearly done by 11:30, 12, so then we came down here. I started in go-karts and that was all fun. Then Dad started Speedway and always liked watching him, and then we had to go and practice and I had to go, and I loved it from then, and we've continued on since then. It would be perfect to be in the Australian title, just so a little bit more airtime on TV and more people will see us going all right, and for us to come back after the wreck last night, it would be magnificent to get back on the track and into the feature.
As you can see right now, they're preparing the racetrack for tonight, watering the track, trying to get plenty of moisture in. Last night, after 9 heat races, in a 20-lap feature race, you saw the track start to take rubber. It went from dry slick to getting very grippy. Tonight, as they water the racetrack, you'll get the moisture content in it, which will make the track tacky very early. With less racing tonight, I think you'll see the track stay in better condition right up through to about probably the last 10 laps of tonight's 40-lap A-main, where I would suspect again, this groove right here may take rubber.
Well, he's a vastly experienced competitor, Brooke Tatnell. He will know exactly what this racetrack will do. What a crowd in the house at Bendigo Bank Arena, Latrobe for night 2 of the 2014 Australian Sprintcar Championship. 1 heat race per driver is all that we have left, Chad. We're on board with David Murcott alongside Ian Madsen, first and second in last night's feature race.
Once again, it looks like the top is the place to be for the start of a race as Murcott swings into the race lead. It's going to be tight. This is Jamie Veal in the 88. We're not used to seeing him in this car. He's usually in the V35, but running the 88 this week. So a good chance to see him in a different gear.
What a great effort from Jamie Bricknell to be back. The team destroyed that car yesterday. So we see a massive crowd here. We're on board. Oh, bit of contact. Fair bump. Play on. Timmy Hutchins in a mean mood going by Frost. So we see Hoekstra and Parker. And just ahead there is Adrian Redpath. Track is starting to move up a little bit. They'll get closer and closer to that camera as the night wears on.
Tim Hutchins not taking any prisoners this week. He was handing out slide jobs on night 1 and back here for the second final night. Not that the conditions are really favourable for slide jobs right now. It's tacky and grippy out there at the moment, but he's certainly aggressive, trying to make up as many passes as possible. As you see that one once more. Very lucky not to break a front end when you do that.
That is a don't argue then from Timmy. Lacey is racing in the 26 Karcher car. Squirts around the outside, dare I say it, a nice clean move for the Karcher 26.
On board with Jerry Hoekstra.
Great shot.
That is just perfect, isn't it? Shows you just how much visibility or lack thereof you have, especially when you're going sideways, because the wing on the other side will block your view at the right-hand side. Working the bottom of the racetrack. As we say, there's no room for slide jobs. Well, not quite. He just got the job done on the bottom of the racetrack. That is a great example of just close quarters racing. You want to be able to slide up the track, but you know there's a car there, and you just will not want to slide up and hit that other car.
Just a fuel gauge, fuel switch to the left, and oil pressure and water temperature gauge is all you've got. How busy is it here? Hoekstra up behind Parker and Murcott to the top side.
When you're busy having your own race like that and the leader comes and splits everything up and sends you down a lap, it actually might work out okay for Hoekstra in the background, as Murcott has just disposed of 2 lappers in about 1 corner.
Pumped up, you can see the sun shining off the racetrack. To the right, it's black and shiny. To the left, there's more heavy dirt. As he runs this place like a boss. He started racing here as a 16-year-old, and Murcott gets the win from Madsen. Strong finish from Hutchins. Also in there was the real deal, Jamie Veal, driving that victory lane race gear, number 88. Good drive from Lacey up to 4th. Hutchins 5th, Redpath, Mason and Frost rounding out your field in heat number 10.
No, it's good. We got got the maximum points, and I'm hoping we can use those points to jump a row and maybe start on the front. There's a pretty big trophy over there, and the number 1 on your tail tank. It's it's a pretty big motivator for us all. So hopefully thanks to Dave and Lorraine Horrell and Darren Belinda Goodyear, we can get the number 1 on the tail tank this weekend.
Heat number 11 on the raceway now. There is rising Tasmanian youngster Callum Zizek. Also Adam Alexander there in the 16, and South Aussie warhorse Trevor Green, the likeable veteran of South Aussie racing. The man who took over really for the most popular driver from Phil March out of South Australia. Hasn't he been an ornament to the sport? He got half-turned then by Robbie Farr.
They just hooked each other, didn't they? This is going to be tight. Mozzie House looking at the back of this battle. Ian Loudon was the beneficiary of that one. He went around the outside of everyone. Robbie Farr was committed to the bottom of turn 1. I was surprised, given the fact that he started off the outside of his row.
Look at this crowd. They're jammed in here at Bendigo Bank Arena, Latrobe. And look at Loudon up behind Alexander. Alexander doing a good job in a car that was originally a 372 cubic inch motor.
Look at the guys he's got behind him, Wade.
I hope he's not. He'll be frightened. There is Loudon. There is Farr. In behind there is Green as Robbie puts a big move on Loudon. That could have gone pear-shaped. That's a don't argue. Hey, it's Australian title time.
It's time to get the elbows out. Trevor Green will also slip past Ian Loudon, so the New South Wales number 1, although he's a South Aussie, fighting with a couple of New South Welshmen. Doesn't New South Wales have a famous history with this event? They've won 11 out of the last 14 Aussie titles, 36 out of the 51 that we've held, and 70% of the race wins on the biggest night in Australian Speedway has gone to New South Welshmen.
Well, it's been, over probably the last 25 years, it's been the most grueling form of weekly sprint car competition, hasn't it? Whoa, right up against the wall just then. This is where the racetrack is. It requires experience and it requires respect. If you overdrive it, you will be punching through the wall. And if you're not too careful, someone's going to rail you on the outside. We're trouble here. Oh my goodness, Robin Dawkins, a big unload. The Kart Magic 29 in ruins.
Man, the front end has completely snapped off in the right front corner. Top wing has damage. We've gone red flag situation because this car has obviously been upside down, and it's an instant red flag as soon as a car overturns in Australian Speedway, or World Speedway. It's pretty common now as well.
Look at this crowd. They're just loving this, aren't they? The title only comes to Tasmania once every 7 years. And what a story this young man is. Jamie Bricknell, the Shamrock Racing, all sorts of treats. Number 55, they built up a new car. They started at 6 o'clock this morning. Jamie's a bit battered and sore, but hey, he's back out there and you've got to have a crack, don't you?
Shamrock Racing themselves have had a big year in Formula Ford and in karting as well. And Joey Hansen, as we look at Robbie Farr down low, Joey Hansen winning the CIK Stars of Karting with Shamrock Racing. Now they're taking on the dirt track scene as well with a good young charger. As It's Robbie Farr, not a young charger, 40-year-old charger, celebrating 25 years of racing a sprint car the only way he knows how.
Look at
elbows up.
Beautiful drive from Trevor. He didn't lean on him too hard. He just got in there and committed himself. But a clean drive from Trev. Alexander can't complain about that, and he probably wouldn't either, but hell, that was close.
That was awesome. That just goes to show you the respect, though. Trevor Green didn't want to push him completely out of the way. Adam Alexander would have seen that big right rear Hoosier tyre under his left elbow and decided to let that spot go as Zizek now goes back a spot. Robbie Farr, look at him kicking up the dust on that wall. And I've got to say, Wade, this cushion a lot more forgiving than it was last night.
Yeah, it's probably not as vicious, is it? Really not so much that you can get over the top now, not unsettle the car. Well done for Trevor Green. He goes through on Zizek, but what a result for Team Bricknell. Jamie fights back, rewards the team for an all-day rebuild with a heat race win, and his hometown crowd will love that. Ooh, the 7 was quick then too.
Robbie Farr was on a big-time charge, but that is a great story for Bricknell. He had a tough weekend when they were racing down at the Classic recently as well. A terrible night in night number 1. That car was destroyed, but they've come back with a spare, and Jamie Bricknell takes out heat race win.
I've got to thank the crew, because I wouldn't be in this spot without them. They spent endless hours just fixing that car and getting us out here today. But yeah, we need that win just to hopefully we get up a little bit further in the V, but still be down the back, and we have to work hard from now.
Just like the lollies that come from his sponsor, can put a sour taste in your mouth sometimes, a big ride in sprint cars, but they have come back beautifully. Danny Reedy and Max Dumsney, a pair of 5s doesn't often beat much in a card game. It may do in a sprint car race though.
Interesting, the bottom this time, leading the charge through turn 1. Max Dumsney eyeing off the back of Danny Reedy's tail tank at the moment. He goes to the bottom. We know Max can be so strong down there, and it's Brooke Tatnell in 3rd, the man who won the title the last time we saw it here at Latrobe Speedway 2007. Max Dumsney was actually on the podium that time, and Max has an Aussie title win here back in 1991, not at this racetrack, but at Carrick.
Yeah, correct, and that was the famous belt incident as well. Very interesting, involving an official's belt around his trousers to hold the wing down. We're here, of course, thanks to Sprint Cars Australia. Hooligators heavily involved as well. All-American die-cast, collectibles, and throw-in Eagle products as we see Brooke throwing a speculator. Between these two, they really have built sprint car racing, particularly in a World Series point of view. The name Tatnell and Dumsney, just massively significant, the contributions their respective families have made.
It's Eddie Lumbar, the man who's gone around. Yeah, Tatnell and Dumsney sharing 8 titles between them. Make that 10 if you throw in, 9 if you throw in George Tatnell as well. What happened to Eddie Lumbar here, running in the middle of the track? It's very slick up there. Thankfully got away without anybody hitting him. He too had some contact at the Classic recently when he got together with Robin Dawkins.
And throw in 15 World Series crowns between them as well. Just 16 if you count George's. Just remarkable the contribution that those two families have made to our game. And Danny Reedy, respectful of reputation, but caring little for it right now as he continues to tear away from those two legends behind him.
So these guys are going to work the middle of the racetrack, where that's at least in 3 and 4. The cushions come a long way down the racetrack. It's a lot wider to go through this part of the track through here, as Max now is about to be under fire from Brooke Tatnell.
Good job for recovery too for Chris Johns, just going past us. Remember, Chris had that big crash in turn 1 and 2 last night as well. Max has steadied the ship a bit here now. He goes right up towards the wall. Brooke throwing a couple of speculator inside moves to try and see if he makes up any ground. And Reedy staying to the top, committed. He raced down here with World Series sprint cars back in the day when it came down to Tasmania, so he knows this racetrack pretty well. Born in the territory, based in Queensland.
Hey, this is turning into a really nice battle at the front of this heat race. Our final qualifying heat race. Brooke points the front wheels, Dumsney to the bottom. He's going to give Reedy a lot of room. If anything, this will probably be the time for Tatnell to look to the bottom. He's going to muscle his way down low. Dumsney wanted the lead, and unfortunately, it cost him 2nd spot.
Brooke trying to come back, and Danny who stays up top. Max was probably, if anything, a little too polite on Danny. That's the kind of racer he is. He's very fair. He'll never move another competitor out of the way. But Danny Reedy should be able to hold on if Brooke and Max will battle a little further here. 1 lap to go. What a great heat race, the final one of the night.
These guys will be squabbling over who gets to start towards the front of tonight's A main. That's what these qualifying heats are all about for Danny Reedy. That heat race win is about consolidation. He started 18th in last night's preliminary A main, hoping to try and start a few rows up when we get to tonight's big dance. But that was an awesome battle between 3 at the front. Danny Reedy takes the heat race win in that NQ5. But I tell you what, the battle between Tatnall and Dumsney was hot as well.
We need to salvage every point we can get, and hopefully that'll be enough to sneak us in there somewhere, you know, midfield of the final, which the way the track's holding up, it could be anyone's at the moment. But yeah, big thanks to the crew, my mother who's here, and yeah, everyone else that helps out, and especially Latrobe Speedway for putting on this event. It's been great, thanks.
Anticipation is building, the crowd is pumped up and ready, and some of the biggest players in the game are ready. Your B main is next, then our championship race.
There's so much that goes into tuning one of these 900 horsepower beasts, but they can be really difficult because unlike other forms of motorsport, you don't have data to draw on. So how do they do it? Well, we sat down with Nick Speed, Robbie Farr's crew chief, to find out.
We have feedback between, well, Robbie will come in and tell me and what I see when the car's going around. We can see how far our shocks are travelling, but that's about it. It's just pretty much you know, what we can see the car doing on the track. We can look at the RPMs of the motor. Obviously, the gearing's we can change that quite easily. Obviously, there's no gearbox, but we can change gears in the rear end. That's no big deal. So at the end of the day, it's honestly really what Robbie can tell me, and that's the big difference right now. Everybody's got good motors, good cars, good wings. It's the feedback and what I can do with his feedback, and you know, you need to work together to get the end result. As soon as the car comes in, Sean checks tyre pressures. Also, that's one of the feedbacks we get. We have bleeders, so the tyres don't build up too much pressure. So you want to have them where you set them at. If there's something odd there, he'll let me know, and we take that into our decisions. Like, yeah, okay, the right rear grew a few pounds. Well, okay, the right rear loose, but that possibly was the problem. But get the blanket on the engine heater on. We need that engine up at 180 Fahrenheit, 200 minimum. Being a methanol engine, it wants to run cool, so we need to keep it hot. We've been at it together for a long time now, so 9 times out of 10, it's pretty close, which is good, because when we're both thinking the same thing, you make better decisions. You know, if he's thinking the opposite of me, it's like, oh, okay, it's not always great, but no, we get it. You know, been getting it right pretty good.
Getting ready now for the last chance qualifier, that is the B main. Brooke Tatnall was down on the track a little earlier, just checking out conditions. Let's have a listen to what he had to say.
Racetrack right now, it's moving up pretty high, very similar to last night. It's got a little bit moisture still up high. We haven't had as much racing, and that's why air's cooled off a little bit. Track's staying in pretty good shape. All we need to do is just keep this racetrack moving up so we can get about another car width closer to the wall, and you are going to see some exceptional racing.
We call it the last chance dance, and 4 cars from this B main will be transferring into the big dance, I suppose you could call it, tonight. And I think everybody's kind of rooting for Jamie Britton on this one.
Well, what a story it would be, Chad. There he is on screen right now. They built up a secondary car that they had in the shed. They got up this morning and started at 6 a.m, so it's been a long day for them. A lot of Tasmanian talent in this field, and certainly a guy from Deniliquin in New South Wales. Any lumber would like to sneak out of this B main into the big race, but what a thrill for these Tasmanian drivers if they can get into the Championship A main. We're on board with Callum Zizak. You've got Kurt Smith and Adam Alexander in that 16 car, leading him down to 1 and 2. Bricknell in third. He's got to finish inside the top 6 to get himself through. Bearing in mind we have 2 reserves, so the top 4 will instantly get into the race. The next 2 go in as reserves.
Even that, I know it's really your last gasp hope, that one, but it can still be enough to try to sit there on the infield. You get to do the 4 wide, at least you tack onto the back of that. Callum Zizak working the bottom of the racetrack. Jerry Hoekstra in front of him. 18 out of our 30 entries this weekend from the Apple Isle, and that's just incredible. Shows the amount of talent and good gear as well that we have down here in Tasmania.
It's a very well-kept secret. Tasmanian Speedway racing on the mainland, they get great support, great corporate support as well, and a fantastic crowd. Standing room only in many places around Bendigo Bank Arena Latrobe for the Eagle Products Australian Sprintcar Championship, and back locally as well by Roadrunners, Tasmania Couriers. We look at the low side. Callum Zizak, his car owner Darren Goodyear. Well, he's got a heavy heart this weekend, a lot of emotion riding on this one in their family. I know that Darren would love to see both David Murcott and Callum at least in the championship race. We know that Murky's in there. Can Callum get in there as well?
It's all about finishing top 4. That's where you need to be right now. That's a pretty attractive battle around that last transfer spot. So who's going to transfer? Oh, that was close. And who is going to be an emergency later tonight?
That's Johns down the low side. I think they're in that asterisk entry. We now see Zizak. He's running the cushion. Johns goes to the bottom. Picks up a nice move. We're right on board with Chris Johns. Beautiful conditions. Massive crowd. Of course, their 53rd Australian Sprintcar Championship heading to Bunbury next year. Quit Bunbury Speedway, so the national rotation sees it head to the west.
Yeah, last time we saw it over there 10 years ago, Robbie Farr was the man who took out that win. And I'm sure that Robbie will be looking forward to getting back there. He took out a 360 title win there recently as well, as we head towards not quite the front of this battle at the moment.
How slow are they right now? The boys have really slowed down. This racetrack is very slick, which means slippery. You can't just mash the gas pedal. All you do is light up the tyres with 900 horsepower at your disposal. Johns is really coming on, doing a very good job in at 9, working on the back of Hoekstra.
Just getting closer and closer to that wall. You can see it's graphic on the wall cam. The cushion disappears for about 5 metres because it's just about touching the wall up top. Good to see that they've got the, right as we say it, hold on to the gas. It's going to be caution.
Roger Spinks Plumbing, number 9, goes around. Oh, Parker had to pull the car up. You can just see the grooves in, how slippery that surface really is. The little transport, number 9, unfortunately going to have to go to the rear right now, and that is going to be probably an A-main not getting into situation.
Yeah, tough weekend for these guys as well, because they already had the dramas of going upside down last night, and now in the B-main, unfortunately, the slick stuff was just a little bit too slippery. I was going to say, it's good to see the tyres here this weekend. It's good to have a bit of an inside barrier that makes the teams work a little bit harder, so you see no, you're not going to have too much controversy, people cutting through the infield in tonight's A-main.
What a job this Adam Alexander is doing right now. It's the smallest engine in the field. It was originally bought as a 372 cubic inch. They bought it out to a 400 cubic inch entry. Everyone else running 410. So we see that Metro, number 16, black and green, ahead of Kurt Smith, Jamie Bricknell. So right now, that Bricknell car is in the show if he can hold on, but he's still got some work to do.
The beauty about having a smaller engine on a day like today is we see this battle for the transfer spot starting to really open up. Hoekstra down low. He needs to pass one more car if he's going to make the show, and he does so at the bottom of turn 3 and 4. Can he get the drive he needs? I don't think this one's over yet.
Goes by Frost. Now he has to go back to the top. Frosty does a good job on the low side. Hoekstra will have to come back on the outside. Now he makes the dive to the inside on Frost! Nothing in it there.
How much do you love transfer racing? A couple like Tassie boys, and he got hooked on those tyres. He's going to gas it up in front of the field. Oh, that was close.
Oh, and Robbins had nowhere to go. Unfortunately, Robbins pulled the car up. He, just as you said, tagged those infield tyres, and that unsettled the car. And Hoekstra now will have to go to the rear.
This is transfer racing at its best. Frost on the top, he wasn't giving him much room down below. And wow, have a look at how much smoke came off those tyres when he lit it up. So maybe there's a fair bit of rubber in this track already. On board right now, the inside tyres just catching him out. Smoked it up. It's like he's a summer nat.
Smoke him if you got him. Robbins unfortunately pulling up. He'll have to go to the rear as well for stopping. So we get back after it. Frost holding on to his transfer at the moment. Zizak wants to get in, so too does Eddie Lumbar, the only non-Tasmanian in this B-main.
Bricknell at the top, and Frost tried his luck down low. It was a risky move. He doesn't want to be sitting on the bump spot. He doesn't want to be on the bubble. Whatever you want to call it, that 4th and final position into tonight's big show. He thinks if I can get into 3rd, it'll be worth it. Lumbar getting all hooked up with Zizak as well as now Frost trying to take 3rd spot away from Bricknell. Can he put Bricknell on that bump?
Good job from Smith right now, holding down that 2nd spot. Lumbar coming at Callum Zizak, the Deniliquin racer. We're into the last lap right now. Plenty going on. Well done, this man. Alexander will drive through and get the transfer in the number 16. Solid job. Good win too over Smith.
And Frost home for 4th, so takes that last transfer spot. That was an exciting B-main. It really heated up towards the end. I was going to say earlier, is they're still arguing over the minor spots.
Well, that is remarkable.
After the checkered flag.
The 2 car going upside down, Clinton Mason. So, Alexander gets a solid win. As we go through, we're going to catch up with Robbie Farr in the pits preparing for tonight's championship race.
Mate, very in-depth conversation there with your crew chief, Nick Speed, and I know earlier on tonight he was mounting up some fairly solid rubber back in the hauler there. How do you see the track playing out?
Look, I think it's already taken a little bit of rubber now, obviously, so look like that B main guy's got rolling on the bottom a little bit better, so the only way that's happening is just laying down a bit of rubber. They'll burn their left rears off in the B main in 20 laps, so that rubber's going somewhere. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a chess game now with the tyres, so 40 laps on a rubber down track before you start.
Can Robbie Farr win his 2nd Australian title tonight? Look at this work going on these Hoosier tyres, because this is the big talking point right now. How do you get these tyres to last 40 laps? Which choice of tyre do you go with? The big one, the Australian title, is coming up after this.
As the great Dennis Committee would say, it has all come down to this. He probably didn't mean sprint car racing context, but we're going to take it anyway. It is standing room only here at Bendigo Bank Arena in Latrobe, Tasmania, for the 2014 Eagle Products Australian Sprint Car Championship. They are 4 wide. The guys have got the iPhones out. You can see the whole place glittering. What a moment we're set for here, Chat Nailon.
Well, this is the big moment of the year. Who's going to take Australian #1 on their tail tank for the rest of the year? We know that it's going to change because James McFadden not in this race, but we've got 40 laps to sort all this out, and tyres is the talking topic right now. We're expecting this track to take rubber. What we mean by that is that the actual content of the dirt surface will take on a grippy rubber, and it's bad for tyre wear. So do you go with the hardest compound, which means you're going to be slow early on, or do you go for a medium compound tyre, which means you can maybe pass a few cars early on, which someone like Robbie Farr or Brooke Tatnell might have to do off the 3rd and 4th rows maybe. But that's going to be the big talking point right now, hard tyre or medium tyre.
And the damage that you can do as well to your own performance with a harder compound tyre is if you get many restarts, the tyre can seal over, or it takes a lot longer to actually come on. So it is such an educated gamble. You're really rolling the dice and praying you don't get snake eyes. Murcott, so far the Tasmanian dream is well and truly alive. Ian Madson's number 29 on that pole position. His brother Kerry, of course, was an Australian champ back in 2003. And Dino would love to do it for Watson's Express Transport, QSS. And as always, East Coast Logistics, Dave Horrell, who has a financial interest in both cars on the front row.
It would be something else if that number 83 on the outside of row 1 can take the checkered flag. 40 laps, here we go.
Murcott goes from the outside to the inside. He had lane choice. He went to the outside. There was nearly contact with Dobson and Hutchins. We're underway. Lap 1 of 40. And everybody upstairs except for Dobson.
There's not a lot of grip down low, and track position is going to mean everything. If this track does take rubber, passing will be at a premium, and it's going to be so difficult to overtake later. So track position in these early laps, vital.
Traffic is going to be a big part of this race. Far in behind Loudon. There is Madsen up on the wall, running the cushion, and Murcott away early. You can't afford to go too hard. More than ever before, you've got to look after both your left and right rear tyres.
It's such a difficult choice to make. Do you push hard early to get one or two positions, or do you go into conservation mode? But at the moment, Dave Murcott at the front of this field with a very handy lead, and a couple guys starting to find battles on this racetrack. Ian Loudon, that's Ian Loudon, the Shannon Pete owned number 65. It's a West Aussie car, and behind him is a man who would love to get back onto the podium. He finished on the podium 20 years ago for the first time at Warrnambool. We're talking about Robbie Farr.
Max Stumsney has a very proud history in any state he races in, but certainly his career has been phenomenal. Almost 30 years and so much championship success on a state and national and World Series level. He's had a pretty solid weekend so far, but it's going to be a big call for the Valvoline 5 to get up from here.
I'll tell you what, this track might be taking rubber a little bit earlier than what some of these teams may have hoped, so whether or not they went for a harder compound tyre will We're about to find out. I wonder what this car has. David Murcott, back in 2007, he ran the hardest compound tyre and saw him finish 7th in the end. He dropped spots because of it. I wonder if he's gambled with a harder tyre to have that grip level at the end of the race, or did he just want to stay and hold on to whatever track position he can as that cool chassis of the Cricket Motorsports number 2. He gets very, very close to the back of Robbie Farr.
Yeah, Brooke had a bit speculated just then. Of course, the sting would still be in Murky's eyes from when James McFadden pickpocketed that title off him at Archerfield Speedway last year. So there's plenty riding on this for David Murcott.
He led 33 laps of that race at Archerfield, and James McFadden stole it off him at the death. He stalked him like he's in the Serengeti and pinched his pocket. And hopefully Murcott is using that to feed him right now. He's already clear of one lapper. And here we go. Battle for second on the racetrack right now between Ian Madsen, and it looked like it was Loudon who was on the outside trying to take that position away, and Dobson also fighting with Trevor Green.
They're all like water dividers out there right now, just waiting to hit that sweet spot when they realise the car grips up a little bit more on the bottom part of the racetrack when it takes rubber. And then you need to be the first person to get down there and grab it. Farr has plenty to do with Brooke Tatnell searching to the back. Also crediting his racing in this weekend with the general, John Day, as Tatnell goes to the outside and picks up the move on Robbie Farr.
Yeah, beautiful move. That move started in turn 1 when Robbie Farr clipped the tyres and saw him stall slightly in the middle of the corner, and Tatnell could use that momentum to pick up that position, but he's still got a few more to go in this one, trying to win another Aussie title as Sean Dobson and Trevor Green make contact. This one's not over. Nick Lacey trying to make up a spot as well. His dad won this event in the Northern Territory back in 1987.
Look at Brooke now coming after Loudon. The Cricket Motorsport number 2 sweeps to the outside on Ian Loudon. How hard are you prepared to push your tyres? And how much do you have to lay off and try and look after them and still be in a position late in the race? Right now, we've had no restarts. There's been no chance to make up track position. Brooke all over the back as Loudon settles the ship just a bit now. Far in behind him, Murcott and Madsen, first and second right now.
It's great watching Brooke Tatnell pass all these cars, but I would wager that he has the medium compound tyre on because he's got so much speed early. I guess he didn't really have a choice starting a few rows back, but this will cost him later in the race as Robbie Farr gets that spot back off him.
It's such an educated guess, isn't it? What are you going to do with your car? Are there going to be restarts? You can't predict that. Farr goes around the outside of Alexander. That was very close just then. He's getting away from Brooke a little bit now. Loudon still running very solidly inside the top 3. Well, English racing engines, a big part of the top 3 right now as well. That man right there, Ian Madsen, with support. And you throw in the likes of our race leader, David Murcott, Scotty Inglis, who's suffering from pneumonia back in Queensland right now. Wouldn't he love to get a win here?
And Glenno Inglis actually crew chief this weekend for Dave Murcott, so that's a bit of an unusual one to actually see him working the spanners this weekend for Murky. It's a long relationship that those two do have. Driving a different car this weekend, Dave Murcott had a chance to familiarise himself with that car in the prelude on Wednesday night with heavy traffic ahead of him, and it's really important to do that. It might be the same chassis and same engine package, but every car is different.
Here we go, Murcott now coming into traffic here. On board as usual, mainline, Dynalog, dynamometers, Andrew right behind him, as long as great support from Dave Horrell, who got him into a Maxim chassis. Dave has run Eagles over the last couple of years. He's come into a Maxim now and really has got himself hard on the gas, and a championship prospect is well and truly a possibility. There is the Jackson Motor Corporation, number 55 at Bricknell. Just to get to the big race is a really big effort for that Tasmanian family team.
And Mark House doing a good job with that T14 car inside the top 10 at the moment. Mozzie House coming off the back of a lacklustre World Series debut when he toured the whole country. He's so proud of his home state of Tasmania, and I'm sure that he'd be loving this right now, mixing it with the best Mozzie House and doing a very good job. And I'm sure racing with a lot of emotion. His late father looking down on him today. Hopefully Mozzie can keep it together for the last few laps.
Rubber is down, Chad. There's no doubt about it. When you look at where everybody is on the racetrack, nobody can really chance their hand up too high. Murky down low. Oh, Luttrell hit the wall in the 45. Murky managed to sneak through. He's going to come up now on Bricknell. It's got that big Angry Man photography logo on the top wing. Now we see Redpath battling there with Jamie Veal and Danny Reedy thrown in for good measure.
Jamie Veal's been buoyed by some recent success. He's on the podium at the Grand Annual Classic, on the podium at World Series Lismore, won a preliminary A main down at Waterbull as well. He's a feature race winner at Parramatta. He knows how to get the job done. Some good experience racing in America as our leaders are fighting through heavy traffic at the moment as Veal's still fighting away with Redpath.
Yeah, Redpath, a whole lot of experience that Jamie Veal doesn't have around this particular speedway. On board with Murky, looking over that left rear tyre. You've got to look after your left rear as well, because if they both blister, you really are in struggle town. 40 laps, it's a long, long way around this racetrack, and so far, no restart.
Gee, the traffic is heavy. Here's Robbie Farr trying to claim his 6th ever podium at an Australian title. He's got a few more cars in front of him, still trying to work through this traffic, and Sean Dobson coming into the back of these guys.
Tatnell going by Loudon as well, so Brooke Tatnell starting to get going in that number 2. We're on board with Sean Dobson, live wire Tasmanian. There is Brooke in behind the Jason Redpath, number 11, Wiley Tiles entry. Farr is just ahead of that battle now, and look at Max going by Loudon. You get the feeling now, Loudon's right rear is really crying.
This is all tyres right now, and the man who knows whose he is better than none, I suppose, and Max Dumsey would be the man on a charge. And was that the 83 getting a little bit tight in turn 1 as well? So that goes to show just how much rubber, and there it is, 1st and 2nd. The split by Jamie Bricknell at the moment.
Ian Matson is so good on slick racetracks, but now we've got rubber down. They're just tiptoeing through the lap traffic right now. Murky's right rear looked very soft as well. The car really laid over on the right rear. That last time our outside shot just showed that. And we're yellow. Yellow lights are on the speedway. Here comes a critical restart. And watch some of these guys duck for the infield and try and cool these tyres. Loudon.
Well, Ian Loudon's night has come to an end, and look at that right rear. That is almost down to being a drag racing slick tyre at the moment. That's incredible.
She's Telly Savalas, that's for sure. She's Kojak. That car just spun, no tread at all, left on the right or left rear.
He tried, look at that, he's trying to let the car fall back as far as he could as to not bring out a caution flag, but the restart will happen anyway. And oh my goodness me, 2 guys that fought it out in the prelim are going to fight for this win once again. Dave Murcott, could this be the year? He's been on the podium the last 2 times he's raced at this title, and he's come back to the track where he first ever drove a sprint car. Man, this is fairy tale country.
Can he hold on? Can any of them hold on with their tyres? Murcott squirts away. How hard do you have to go? You've got to gamble. Do I go hard and just get after it and hope the universe looks after me? Or do I sit back and hope no one goes by? Brooke, forget the percentage.
Oh.
You saw the smoke. That tyre is in pain. He's going after it. He can't afford to sit behind these guys, because what's he going to do? Here is Dobson now in the top 5.
That's what we like this time. We're not racing for series points in a championship. Just get out there and push as hard as you can to try and finish on the podium or even claim the win. This isn't the kind of race where you care about finishing second. We heard Brooks say it earlier. He doesn't want to have number 2 in his car. He wants to have number 1. At the moment, that guy's going to be changing his car from 83 to number 1 if he can hold on to this lead. Oh, big one. Huge accident on the backstretch.
Jason Redpath, that is a massive unload there.
Oh, a bit of an oil fire down the left-hand side of the headers as well.
He looks a little bit motionless in that car right now. Wouldn't surprise me if he's had a little bit of a nap just there, because he may well have been KO'd. That was a huge impact in the number 11. Fire crew onto that scene quickly there at the moment, looking over the top just to make sure he's okay. He just drilled the wall there.
That is massive. How's the height that car got? And it's probably that hit there.
Yeah,
that was the really jarring one. It came down on the cage.
Oh, man, this one here you're talking about.
Yeah.
Boom. Jason had been around the game a long time. His dad is an absolute legend of Tasmanian Speedway. And look at this, the credit to the strength of sprint cars. He gets out and walks away from what was a frightening wreck. There are not many laps left to go now, and those right and left rear tyres are blistered, to say the very least. It's a game of, can you hold on? You know what? Ian Madsen will know what Murcott's tyres are like. He won't know what Ian's tyres are like.
And we're hearing a few people, including team owners, standing up on the fence. They can see canvas on these right rears when they're coming past. It sounds like a few of these tyres are on their last legs. Can Dave Murcott hang on? He was born in Melbourne. He moved down here at 2 years old, was raised in Devonport, Tasmania. Could it be Tasmania, the place, the home for his first ever Australian title? Will that right rear tyre hold on?
In the fine art world, there's been plenty of masterpieces played out on a canvas. I'm not too sure in sprint cars that holds true. Look at the lead he's got over Ian Matson. Murcott stretching the legs. Very proud dad here this weekend. He'll be thrilled as well as his boy can hold on. Look at the lead. He's not exactly holding back. He's just got to go for it. Matson back in that second spot. Long way back to that second spot right there. Murky, now he slows it right up with yellow.
Yellow. Again, we've got... it's Brooke Tatnell. His tyre's gone. The right rear, it's finally given up. We said that he might be on a softer compound, and that proves it. So one's gone. How many more are going to go?
He had an Australian title win at Murray Bridge where it was a tyre frying affair as well. This particular time, it doesn't come up for the Quickie Motorsport Toyota Genuine Parts car. And look at Murky. He just got to keep drumming into his head, I can do this, I can do this. And Ian Matson has got that same self-belief. Look, he's lurking in third. Oh,
goodness me.
No tyre tread at all left as Brooke climbs out wearing that helmet that tributes his dad. Some amazing artwork on that helmet. Some wonderful old photos of George and Brooke. Restart. Only a handful of laps to go.
This is too much to handle. This is incredible. The race isn't really between the drivers right now. It's between a man and his right rear tyre. How much longer is that right rear of Murcott, or Madsen for that matter, going to hold on?
And Murky's wife, Sally, is not even at the Speedway. She's in mainland Australia with the phone turned off. She doesn't want to know. Thank goodness she's not watching. It would be nail-biting for her. Murcott drives away. Second spot is still Matson. Third is Robbie Farr. Dobson has been solid. He's doing a pretty handy job in this one as well.
He drove his first Aussie title in 1991 in Tasmania. He takes the white flag. That tyre looks like it's going to hold on. Could this be the day for Dave Murcott?
Fairy tales do come true, Chad. And look at the elation from Murcott. The left arm pumping the breeze. Madsen second, Robbie Farr third, back to Green. Dumsney, Hutchins a strong drive as well. Kurt Luttrell over the tyres. Look at Murky, raw emotion.
How much does Dave Murcott deserve this Australian Championship? So many years trying, a couple podiums recently, but nothing's taken it away from him today. And look, Ian Matson not making the final standings.
A flat right rear tyre. The tyre blew after the checker. The car went across the scales. It didn't make the minimum weight. That is heartbreaking for Ian Matson. He so deserved to run a podium here. Let's go down to David Mills with your new Australian champion.
No, I really wanted to get the lead because he knew the rubber was going to come, and I just had to sit there and be patient. And we found it at the right time, I think, and from then on, I was just save the tyre and conserve and keep it straight. I used to watch this man here and my dad race around here, Tony Smith, Phil Coates, everyone that I grew up with. This is where I grew up, and like I said, my dad ran his first ever race here. I think it was the '77 Australian title. Didn't have a wing on his super modified back then, and I won my first Australian Championship here, so it's kind of, I guess, it doesn't bookend it because it's not finished yet, but I'm pretty happy.
Look, fantastic result for the team. We're very happy. Great for Tasmania and Latrobe to have such a good crowd here tonight. Special thanks to High Tech Oils of Amir and everyone that supports the team. But look, we realistically ran third in the race, I believe, because Ian went light, so that was it was hard for them guys to take, but. It is what it is, and either way, it's a good result for our team, and we'll move on to the next one.
Sally Murcott, please pick up your phone. Your husband is the new Australian champion, and Trevor Green and Robbie Farr both very emotional, not only for Murcott's win, but for Ian Madson's unfortunate exclusion at the end.
Yeah, but what it means is that we have one of the oldest podiums that we've probably seen in the Australian title in a sport with so much emerging youth.
Most experienced.
I know, yes, that's what we'll put it. The combined age of these three, 125 years old. It's the oldest podium we've seen since we last raced here back in 2007. Wade, you said this track's about experience. That proves it.
Wow, what an amazing 2 nights of competition. The title heads to Quint-Bunbury Speedway in February 2015. We hope you've enjoyed our coverage. It's been an epic title, that's for sure. On behalf of Sprint Cars Australia, Eagle Products, Hooligators, all the wonderful sponsors involved in Tassie, it's been an awesome event. We look forward to your company for next year's Australian Sprint Car Championship.
40 laps, here we go.
Murcott goes from the outside to the inside. He had lane choice. He went to the outside. It was nearly contact with Dobson and Hutchins.
Big one. Huge accident on the back stretch.
Jason Redpath. That is a massive unload there.
That is massive. How's the height that car got? Sean Dobson and Trevor Green make contact. he's gone over. Could this be the day for Dave Murcott?
Fairy tales do come true, Chad. And look at the elation from Murcott. The left arm pumping the breeze. Look at Murcott, raw emotion.
How much does Dave Murcott deserve this Australian Championship